I think everybody just wants to be free, but freedom looks different for everybody, and true freedom does scare many a person into a great smiling sigh of self-worshipping castration, where they can be masters of laps in their saliva puddle, refilled every Sunday from their fish mouths ajar. I stare into from afar and say, bless your heart, there's no need to waste a bullet on calcified potential. Scorpion crest whispers their seeds and plants them in my mind. Either think your bruises are courage, unless you bends your life. Either think you think so much that you become a pebble, kicking yourself down the lane of my full of life. Hi. I was in an adobe mansion of two rich hippies who lived on a road owned by enemy neighbors, and there were wild horses who would break through the gate and eat the drunken grass below the winter apple trees. The gate was made by ghost, and I'd call the hotline and say, yes, hello, your gate isn't keeping the horses out, and I'm in a big adobe mansion pet sitting for some rich hippies, and I have no intention of breaking any rules here. You see, the way I am and the way I live, rules don't apply, unfortunately. So when I have a task or a job of some kind, I really like to go above and beyond, because the way I live and the way I am kind of feels a lot like no man's land, and I feel very alone in this big wide world, and it's all up to me to figure it all out. So I like some structure. In fact, I need a so. I wasn't raised by a Marine, just a Marine son. I really am quite lost without that type of love. I hope one day some man will sit me right down, and we'll give each other things the other doesn't have, and I think in this struck balance, a whole world will open up. But for now, I just need you to keep the horses out. I love them so much, and if it was my house, I'd let them... I'd let them get drunk off their tails on all the apple beer, and I lay down in the moonlight and rest my head on one of their necks, and I found myself drunk from pure happiness, and my husband... my husband would look out the window and smile at us, and then the telephone ghost man said into my ear, I'm sorry I can't help you, miss, because I'm not here. The husky took me down the familiar trail on a long stretch before blue ribbon dusk. She paused, like a valiant snowflake choosing her final resting place. Click, 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 I was a skipping baby chick, kicking up the dust just so I could kiss it. When I think of these images, my heart paints me a new one, of it being kneaded as toy clay spread along the high desert floor. She's saying that is where she's aching, still licking all the juniper. Can't get enough. And why would you want to? So the husky took me down the trail to introduce me to her friend. And I didn't see him at first, and then I said, hey, I know him. And she said, you do? Well, how can that be? I said, he's the one from the video my angel girl sent me. All this years ago, in the wildfire sun. Yes, it must be him, or maybe his son or cousin. Either way, how touched I truly am, to be greeted by the past, and we're all better than surviving. The leash is around my neck, and I look very beautiful at this one angle, or if I was a ruler, I'd make it a rule that I could only be viewed in this one type of light, in this one type of view. The leash is around my neck for practicality, like a lasso before they break open the gate. The husky woman priestess is off into the distance. If she chases another ram, I'll be ready for nothing. The leash is around my neck, and sometimes I pull it, tighten it up, and leave little pink markings. Little pink tears flood my waterline. They want to see the pink sky and watch the sun say goodnight. The leash is around my neck, and I'm all alone in a big quiet desert down a long dirt road. I see a pickup truck coming and I feel fine. I think it's all a joke, like everything in life. I set a fire tonight, all but my lonesome. There's a first for everything, or have you forgotten? A fire of freedom, of purity, of truth. I'm no longer scorching earth to keep up a ruse. When life is but a series of searing hot coals, you can't catch your breath, you just be taking smoke. And you choke, and you choke, and you as you soak yourself in gasoline and deep the act, sacrificial. The act is over, the play has just begun. Play, play, I don't take it for granted, and I'm not risen. I'm smiling at the embers. I'm just a nature girl, always and forever. Because I am nature, and you are too. It's all really so simple, but that don't really excite you. So you find yourself a puppetry, and sometimes it's a master, sometimes over life, and others for death. Oh, blah, 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 it's never too late. It's never too late to play with fire, to take back your name. It's never too late, unless you stay. I opened my eyes in the middle of the night when the embers were rested after the party done died. I opened my eyes to the husky's glacial gaze. I blinked slow once and received her clear message. I floated up the stairs in statuesque trust. In my china silk robe, I slipped down the hall. The floor-length velvet curtains were in a horizontal trance. The French balcony doors had let all the midnight snow in. I went slowly toward the blue on the cold, wet floor. I blinked at the moon to say, sorry, the party's over. I shut the doors tight and got on my hands and knees. I crawled around as the cat sang his bird song to me. In my china silk robe, I mopped myself into a puddle. Then we laid on the melty mess, curled into one another. His moonlit melody slumbered to a hushy purr, and I purred back and tapped him on the nose. Let's lullaby to dreamland where we're both flying in the snow.